For the comprehension of art as I follow in this paper, it is very important to consider the conceptualization of art as inherited from Romanticism, particularly for its orientation towards the future, for its interventional character. I've published the book Art is Intervention, which has been translated to Serbian as Art in Contemporaneity. Thank you, Miško, for helping me with that, and Leon for writing the component word. So I have addressed this question of intervention related to art. Partly I will speak about this here too. So one of the exemplary manifestations of these orientations are the movements of the historic avant-garde, and in particular, for instance, the form of manifesto. So consider what is a manifesto. If a scientific paper is a report on the findings of the proceeding research, manifesto is a programmatic text that sets foundations for further acting and also calls for action. Jacques Rancière recognized that the idea of the avant-garde is in accordance with Schiller's model and ascertained that it is rooted in the aesthetic anticipation of the future. If we consider this orientation towards the future as a significant feature of art as inherited from Romanticism, science has, on the contrary, throughout modernity, preserved its ontological status as a practice of exploring. I have used two concepts to differentiate between these two stances, the notion of perspicere and the notion of proicere, both borrowed from Siegfried Zielinski and referring to Wilhelm Flusser. Projectibility, as a notion coming from proicere, is here understood as an ability to project. Latin proicere, that originates from proitio, pro, from, for, instead, and iatio, to throw, is the opposite of Latin perspicere, from perspizio, to see through something, and also to perceive, to distinguish clearly. Projection thus stands in opposition to transparency and marks the throwing onwards instead of uncovering the existing. This is not the mode of denoting the world, as it is but an active mode of shaping the world. The mode of projectability is not the mode of explaining the world, but the mode of effecting tomorrow. This feature is to be comprehended as a political dimension.
The aspect of sparking new. In the course of their stay in the outer space, astronauts photographed the Earth during the first 8 expeditions in ISS. Almost 200,000 photographs were taken, and 84.5% were produced immediately. According to Yaren and others, taking a photograph of the Earth is an effective form of developing the overview effect in astronomy. These photographs of Serbia were taken by astronauts in outer space. It's a beauty. Many photographs taken by astronauts have a harmony of colors and shapes and a beauty that is not seen elsewhere and can surprise viewers. These images can be linked directly to the psychological state of astronauts. Nobra's artwork provides a critique here and proposes that sparkling neuron represents Japan covered with white dots. Wow, it's difficult to see a white dot, but like that here. These white dots are traces of cosmic radiation. As is well-known, intense cosmic radiation are found throughout the outer space. If the human body is exposed to intense cosmic radiation, DNA damage and other disorders can culminate within the human body. Cosmic radiation also impacts scientific devices and can damage the CCD of the high-definition television camera, by which Nomura created sparkling neurons. That is to say, sparkling neuron is a photograph woven from conflicting images. On the one hand, Nomura has created an image of the Earth from the outer space that is full of vitality, affinity, connectedness, and beauty. On the other hand, he reports the image of a cosmic radiation in the outer space that portrays lack of vitality, otherness, detachment, and harshness.
I will return to Elias. I will comment on his view because I think it's the most comprehensive one. Elias' sociological account of civilization is still the most comprehensive analysis. He begins the analysis with focusing on civilization as a civilisation de l'heure. It's in French, a civilization of morals or manners. There is a slight difference here in translation in English. He admits that we nowadays are using civilization when expressing both levels of technology, types of manners, development of scientific knowledge, and religious ideas and concepts. So he also registers this diversity of meanings from the 18th century. He also acknowledges that the concept itself is hugely important, as it is no more known as he says, an expression of the self-consciousness of the West itself. However, his analysis is a historical regression to the early life of the concept. Actually, he analyzes civilization by referring not to the concept of civilization, because there was no concept of civilization before the 18th century, but to the terms related to it, such as civility and politeness, because this is the not just the etymological root, but also the conceptual root of the concept of civilization in the 18th century. Elias connected history of civilization with that of civility first. Both terms, civilization and civility, are etymologically connected to the Latin word civis, which means citizen. As the term civility, which already existed from the 15th and 16th centuries, refer, since the late Renaissance, to the education of manners. So civility means first education of manners. Thus, there is a double import with respect to this term. The one political and public, which means respecting the rules of living in a political community as it is, as a citizen. And second, the other is private, which means respecting the morals or the manners of the community, as small as this community would be. It can be bigger, it can be universal, or it can be smaller. As an individual, so this is the private sense. However, and more importantly here, the second aspect also refers to the self-development of the manner individual. The cultivation of civility becomes a cultivation of, he says, kindness. So, civility is already associated with kindness. This kindness requires, as Elias observes, enhanced sensitivity to the others, as well as a sensitivity to oneself, so to speak. Yeah, this sensitivity to others is sensitivity to ourselves is a prerequisite to sensitivity to the other. Elias is thus aware that this process of establishing manners or morals in the minds or in the conduct of man ultimately enables, or should enable, quote, a very extensive transformation of human feelings and attitudes, or, quote, a remodeling of the effective life of the individual. So this politeness or this civility affects man's self-image from the 15th century, 16th century onwards. In this context, one might argue that one could not accurately speak of taste and the development of the concept of fine arts in the 17th and 18th century.
So, the aesthetic theory of Adorno will follow the course of avant-garde work of art in the first 3 decades of the 20th century, as an art is socialized, overcoming the metaphysical character of the previous centuries' art, and at the same time generates its refusal. In this way, art will oppose to the new order of capitalist production that is progressively established. This possibility of denial is based, as we shall see, on the autonomous character. This overcoming becomes more obvious in the works of the painters, such as Pablo Picasso, the very known and George Braque, Woman with Madeline. Then, if we look at the abstract forms of art, towards which pioneers art has turned, we realize that they are presented as an aesthetic artistic conceptualization of the conscious and critical reaction towards, first, the disasters created by capitalistic expansion and barbarie, and the second, the degradation and conversion of the individual to a mere object. In this case, the work of modern art disputes the reality and acts effectively to the public. Following some other example, Vasily Kandinsky, Art and Point. Vasily Kandinsky, who believes that objective reality can be created abstractly and thus simplify the form and extent of the dramatic depiction. After is Malevich, Black Square, Red Square, and in the end of the modern, Modian goal to eliminate the objective world in his art is evident. It is a rational, more mathematical deduction. We conclude that with regard to the rationalization of the alienated condition for men, contemporary art is autonomous, reaching of absolute forms and a complete break with the status quo, the essential reality and the formal and long-established way of thinking and expression. From the negative attitude of the avant-garde work of art towards the established society, the fact that aesthetics should be fundamentally negative and theorized as such by abnormal results, also from the negative attitude of contemporary art. It appears a negative aesthetic through the refusal of the philosopher to outline the profile of a different society.
And this relates a little bit to the idea of, again, the idea of ruling us, and the kind of paradoxical idea that actually what's the only new is the old, or the rediscovery, because these were not as known in Western media, and they kind of somehow become now, because they are not so easily accessible, that they have become so saturated almost to the point of being fashionable. It's actually very fashionable to go around and try to find, locate these images. And unfortunately, it has been problematicized that a lot of people go there and they don't know anything about the history or context, and they see them purely aesthetically. However, that's not as simple as it seems. It's been kind of claimed by Vladimir Ilyich that this idea of monument is disrespectful, that actually it's not or shouldn't be acceptable for somebody to go and have a picnic or have a kind of turn it into their own photographic project. However, and he felt very strongly, and he even argued that this is called, he termed it New Orientalism, that the artistic or architectural object to be acceptable is as part of Western art project. And I disagree. I think that by actually describing it as part of Western art project, that Coolidge actually falls into this same trap of binary divisions. And I don't think at this time we can actually talk about Western, and in particular in Yugoslavia. That Yugoslavia was always very in between and very open, and most Western or more communist countries and most communist, if you like, of all Western, but that this porosity and this kind of openness, the fact that we learned English and were able to travel, and that it was part of the non-aligned movement, also created this self-destructive forces, which is ultimately, so the destruction didn't come just from the inside or just from the outside, but it's much more complex. And here's a good example of a structure which has been destroyed. So you can see, the scale of it in when it was first erected. And you can see the state it is now, covered in graffiti, almost unrecognizable.
The view and the rendezvous are inseparable. And the question is, what kind of landscape does Corbusier's work in India overlook today? Are we clear on purpose and in the next step on using architecture so we could really rethink Adorno, so we could rethink architecture? And finally, it is again Adorno pointing precisely to this problem, which finally brings me back to the theme of this panel, which is aesthetics. In Adorno's words, aesthetics actually becomes a practical necessity when it becomes clear that concepts like usefulness, uselessness in art, like the separation of autonomous or purpose-oriented art, imagination and ornament, must once again be discussed, therefore they are unclear, before the artist can actually act positively or negatively according to such categories. And I'm adding architect to this. In aesthetic theory, aesthetic experience is described as immediacy accompanied with volition, with concentrated consciousness. And as such, the analysis reconstructs personal time through its antithesis. Analysis terminates in beauty and unconscious perception, and paradoxically, it simultaneously points to it. It therefore subjectively redescribes the course that the artwork objectively describes within itself. Aesthetic reflection brings about the question of art and beauty that Adorno elucidates in relation to Kant's sublime, and consequently opens the relationship of nature and natural beauty to the artworks. In his theory, art and artificial arise in opposition to nature, and each refer to the other. Nature to the experience of a mediated and objectified world, the artwork to nature as a mediated agent of immediacy. Since the experience of nature is no longer accessible, seeing it like that, Adorno challenges us to rethink natural beauty as something constantly changing and not objectified in relation to artworks and therefore to architecture as well. Aesthetic reflection of architecture reveals the following. On the one hand, the consciousness concentrates on the experience of form that defines architectural space, and on the other, the thought is confronted with the views outwards through the window. If this view is directed towards nature, the thing durée, personal time, and the experience of space by architectural form is in a specific relation to cyclical time of nature as a means of program, content, that frames aesthetic experience. For the architectural space to be, a part of the environment has to be sacrificed, and as such, it is transformed into space with its function in the social domain. In this sense, nature is not merely an image we experience looking out of the window. Nature is transformed as materiality to become space. It is an object of action. Economic growth and building that accelerates today is regarded as an objectivity. The means to achieve these goals are likewise understood as objective. irrational. Adorno reminds us that capitalist society hides and rejects precisely this irrationality. Aesthetic experience of an architectural situation is an entanglement of the personal, societal, and natural time. I thus propose the temporality of architecture to be key for looking at the relationship between nature and the built environment, either in a positive or in a negative way. This brings us to the question of ethics. Jacques Rancière, in his work Aesthetic and Existence, defines ethics as the kind of thinking in which an identity is established between an environment, a way of being, and the principle of action. Architecture is affected with building, and for building to be ethical, it means that our way of being, the way we understand ourselves in society and in nature, a way in which we understand ourselves objectively in relation to the environment, spatializes via principles of action, how we act, in such a way that there is an identity, a balance created between the three aspects. Rancière opens the question of aesthetics from a perspective that situates the confusion of the aesthetic discourse in the same historical context as Adorno, in the context of philosophical idealism and art.
Dear colleagues, I understand the situation with the time, and I will try to organize my presentation short as possible. It's interesting research about aesthetic questions which we can find when talking about aging for urban voids and free spaces of Montenegro. Until present, Montenegro is still undiscovered destination with limitless, we all know for this sentence, wild beauty and urban voids, which represent locations with specific illuminated Mediterranean skies, sea, mountains. All of you which have possibilities to visit Montenegro knows what I'm talking about. And it's kind of natural home for artists and painters, and it's really enriched by untouched nature and with very specific heritage if you're talking about cultural and historical antiquity. Those spaces represent a great polygon of different possibilities for expressing new identities which we can find today if you're talking about contemporary art practice. And it's increasingly necessary for the new age of human languages, which we have to understand if we try to talking about the future and their needs. With specifically coordinated creativity of art, we can renew these spaces which we have now into new free spaces, which can realize completely new relations between man and nature. Placemaking is not important as a philosophy which can be strategic plans of Montenegro develop in future. It can be new way which can realize this situation which we have if you're talking about state without industry, with the new financial support of art possibilities and other art practice which can be useful for any modern process of placemaking, which we can review in later exams in this research. We're trying to free existing, abandoned and marginalized territories, it's vague term, of Montenegro with two goals. First, try to articulate unlocated spaces. We are existing and future, which we can expect under-road structures, if we're talking about sites and space. And we can exchange the possibility of discovery. And this goal take into account the dynamic interaction of the sites and their future potentials of transformability and adaptability as the basic components of the resilience as their main growing factor. The second goal of this research is directed towards the inclusion of natural landscapes with specially defined sources of natural energy. It's kind of stage which can represent us possibilities of a good combine of natural sources as sun, energy, wind, and so on, with the special experience of art practice. In these examples, we can talk about kinetic art practice, which can represent new fields of artistic experience and new aesthetic values of their spaces, which can be interactive with that possibilities.
Buckminster Fuller's and excellent Canadian leaders made the most of these examples, as well as the countercultural formations in the United States, with the parallels and experimental practices in the UK, Japan, and elsewhere. Most of the architectural experiments were premature, unlikely to be built even in post-World War II conditions, but thought about and designed in times when imagining a brighter future was appreciated, if not unexpected and dear. In this paper, I would argue that the legacy of visionary thinking behind the experimental architecture of the 1960s can be evaluated to rethink contemporary responsible, responding sustainable architecture. For this purpose, I will discuss the topic related to minimum dwellings as an extreme version of small or tiny houses, namely the sustainability conditions inherent in pioneering and contemporary capsule architecture, which has, with its inception, become the biggest contemporary architectural monad, the minimum building block of architecture. Exposing the question of the aesthetics of change and the politics of the envelope, the case of capsule architecture shows the potential for a wider social and political engagement of architecture. When minimum dwellings are compact, well-equipped, connected to the network, structurally, functionally, and visually recognized as one thing, temporary and mobile or transportable, they may be designated as capsules. Although there have been many more capsules designed than actually built or produced, they inevitably serve as a precursor and a historical reference for contemporary derivations. While pioneering examples focused more on the potential, more on their special social and political role, the capsules of Archigram, Japanese metabolism, and many others, which you can see here on the slides, the contemporary ones have acquired also the explicit environmental role, like in the case of eco-capsule, LeapHut, or NCH, by which call them. Capsule architectures bring a seed of the new to the environment. Due to their otherness, distinct from traditional dwellings, they provoke attention and possible reactions. Their mobility and uprootedness, or non-attachment to place, may redefine the notion of dwelling and consequently the notion of home, individual, and community. Here we can have relations links to the questions of building, dwelling, thinking, Heidegger, and maybe his counterpole in Levinas, in Heidegger, the Darwin and us, and so on. The otherness is supported also by the physical properties that enables seclusion and autonomy. Capsules are therefore potentially off-the-grid and may be enacted either in remote natural environments or in the urban or suburban conditions in the globalized world. These characteristics enable the concept to be appropriated in crisis areas and stimulate the experiments in the fields of design and art as well. Although seeking for disconnection from the immediate environment, these architectures enable or even enhance connectedness to the non-physical information network. Temporary by their nature, these small dwelling shelters, redesigned container units, special technological structures, parasites, and other manifestations of the capsule concept encompass the technological facilities with a distinct architectural expression. In capsule architecture, the temporality and change, which usually falls out of the description of traditional architecture, something which was also noticed by my previous presenters, get a prominent role.
Equally crucial is the fact that actors move, constantly subverting the audience's perception of the actor and hence of the character in relation to the painted scene. So given these problems, you might wonder why perspective painting had persisted in the theater for so long. Well, surprise, it's about power, more than about the theater. Single-point perspective generated a privileged experience for certain selected viewers. In court theaters, beginning in the 17th century, it put a single person, the ruler, a duke or a prince, or perhaps a czar, in a privileged position in relation to the performance. The stage platform was aligned with the ruler's box, and the vanishing point was at eye level. So the vantage point of the ruler was made the organizing principle of the stage as a whole. It's not about the performance, it's about the ruler and how the viewpoint of the ruler controls the entire set of actions that occur on the stage. Multiple point perspective, in contrast, where the ideal viewing position is spread out over a larger number of people, has been used to make a social and political point, spreading out the optimal viewing experience more democratically. Okay, so here's the surreal again, so you can see that the ruler with eye line would be aligned with the single point, vanishing point in the respective scene. And other people would be able to experience the distortion, reinforcing the view, the fact that they didn't have the power and the ruler did. Okay, the third section, the rise of theatrical performance as an art form. During the 19th century, painting lost its dominance over set design in Europe due to numerous factors, both in theater theory and in practice. There were many factors involved. I'm just going to mention a few that are relevant to the point here. One was theater's fixation on realism, which reached its height in Europe in the 19th century. Major developments included box sets, which replicated the three-dimensional box of a domestic interior. That is the creation of an actual three-dimensional room on stage, as opposed to using backdrops.
In addition, when OSM tried to express was neither visual beauty with distinct outline like sculpture, nor what we can appreciate by our eyes from outside. To come to the point, it can be called as an aesthetical movement, its center circle movement. To explain this concept, first, I would like to quote a passage from a contemporary practitioner, Kishimoto Nobuta. He referred to this body balance concept. OSM is the most useful posture that stabilizes the balance of a full body. However, this doesn't mean it's just a static posture that stops any activity of body. Rather, practitioners in the body sense faintly can feel the bounce motion repeating alternately action and reaction at equal level to each other. In order to create this rhythm, practitioners have to keep their body in balance.
In and through this sketchbook, we can observe the artist's way of taking notes, working method, ideas, ideals, and artistic solutions that will then help us better understand the features of his capriccios and veduttas, as well as the convoluted connection of these two genres to each other and to reality.
For Benjamin, the aesthetic act is full of meaning. To build a house is already the expression of something. It Its meaning does not come later. Meaning for Hegel is established afterwards with rational reflection, but for Benjamin it comes together with the action. If architecture remains means to accomplish ends that are alien to it, in his exposition of the history of architecture, Hegel traces in parallel and consciously a history of the forgetfulness of the body and material life. This is what Benjamin looks forward to bringing to the center of his reflection.
The concept of the techniques of the body, developed in 1934 by Marcel Mauss, might have got use for solving this problem. This technique of the body means the technique to use one's own body as a tool for a certain purpose. Thinking that the formation of this technique can be achieved most effectively with body education, Mauss argues that the basic techniques such as walking, swimming, vary with time and space. The connection of sleep and death, for example, is not self-evident, because the sleep technique is also feasible in a standing posture, sleep or lines. Insofar as we perceive sleep and repose as techniques of the body, they do not denote one single type of action. Two lines sleep. My perspective is that this concept offers rich possibilities and enlarge the scope of the treatment routine. The concept of body refers not only to the physiological, but also to the socio-cultural body. How to use a human body as an instrument is unconsciously regulated in our daily life. This unconscious consideration for the body should be named use as distinguished from function. Function that has sole reference to the instrument is a narrower concept than use. Considering the three terms of relationship between body, function, and society tied by use might make more persuasive the specific explanation of the form of function. In the following section, therefore, the problem of function will be treated exclusively with the concept of body use. Third, function and the outcome of organization.
The reinforced concrete buildings have a common external appearance with simple exposed concrete and red clay walls. And these layers and louvers fulfill both practical function as well as the decorative function of providing a visual rhythmic pattern of vertical and horizontal lines. The greatest distinguishing feature of a university's architecture lies in its utilization of landscape to inform the structure and arrangement of the buildings. University campuses in Japan are mostly situated on flat land because they contain a number of large buildings. However, Nanzai University was erected on an undulating site. In his plan of Nagoya campus, Raymond's architectural thought of natural was practiced under the principle of conserving both vegetation and landscape as far as was practical. So for example, a slope in the G30 of this photography, so slope in this hole, so outlines the natural hills. And from this section, I will talk about building the situation of present days. So anticipating the future establishment of new faculties and the rise in student numbers, Nanzai University contributed to add new structure after the completion of the last building planned by Raymond. So building M, faculty building 2, cafeterias were completed in 1975. And the following buildings on the slide were built between the 1980s and 2000s. So these are the new buildings in our campus.
Nansa University formulated its grand design for the next 20 years, which implement the later campus plan. As a part of reform ideas to broaden an educational target to university, there are two important suggestions regarding campus renovation. Firstly, the two existing campuses should be unified in Nagoya in the future. Secondly, campus maintenance is necessary in order to realize universal systems such as barrier-free entry.
Derrida writes about the stroke of the brush, quote, "A trait never appears, never itself, never for a first time. It begins by retracing, retracting." So literally, it's a French term, but retracing, there's always already something there when the painter strikes. So the stroke is like a drawing, a withdrawal into itself at the same time living and taking place. The trait that defines the work of art is so because it has already appeared once. It's already a recognizable feature. It appears in a double movement of withdrawal and repetition, and it's like the stroke of the artist's brush in painting, the repeated movement that brings the motif forth as something always already existing. Through this gesture of retracing the ground, the artist's stroke opens a space, and this space is, in this case, the studio.
Now we have very simple agenda today. I will say some official ritual words about Congress, about our future, our next conferences, and then we will have some task is to make elections of the just a moment, delegate at large. We have by our constitution 5 delegates at large. We have 1 elected by voting by online, and now we have for the maximum 4 delegates of large. It means that people who are here have to suggest some names and we voting about them. The 21st IC Congress on Possible Worlds of Contemporary Aesthetics, Aesthetics Between History, Geography and Media, organized by Faculty of Architecture, Society of Aesthetics of Architecture and Visual Arts of Serbia, and International Association for Aesthetics, happened between last 5 days. I really want to, in the first moment, I want to thank the Faculty of Architectures, and especially to the president of the faculty of the Society for Aesthetics of Architecture and Visual Arts, Professor Vladimir Mako, and his great team. Especially 2 persons who are here, please get up and stand up for your rights. Boško and Natasha had been a really peer person who worked everything before conference and was some kind the middle persons who make this conference possible. Thank you very much. Now we have also in front of us some or future congresses. But in this moment I want to remember you on the congresses in this century. We have in this century Tokyo 2001, Rio de Janeiro 2004, Ankara 2007, Beijing 2010, Krakow 2013, Seoul, Korea 2016, and Belgrade this year. For the next Congress, we have to make decision in our next first interior meeting in next year in Delphi, Greece, and it will be time when we will make some suggestions. In last few days, we have many discussions with the people, and I hope in the next few months we'll got projects for the future congresses for the 2022. And in this sense, we have also made plan that make 2 interim conference between congresses. It is Delphi, Greece, September 2020, and next Bled, Slovenia, June 21st. This will be something what we prepare, and I hope that it will be good preparing for the next big and successful Congress in the next years. Now we have its official things, and I think that this preparing for the next Congress for us who will prepare and who will work as officers be most important job. Personally, as officer who have title president, but yesterday I saw what is my real role. I call telephone when we have in the restaurant taxis for our guests. And I think it was very useful situation. But in reality, I have for me, 2 tasks and 1 dream. I know these 2 tasks is possible. This dream is something what is really dream. These 2 tasks are, first task is to try to help opening of new societies in second, third world, and try to find for the next Congress 2, 3, 5 new societies who will support our researchers from different countries, maybe national, maybe regional. Second task is on some way to make and to try to make contacts with the traditional aesthetic society, especially the aesthetic society of Germany, France, etc., etc. This try to return some traditional or contemporary philosophical, aesthetical societies again to collaborate with us. Now, in this Congress show, we in some way very hybrid connection of different professions, different theoretical roots, different targets, ideas. And last, my dream is always people have to dream. Dream is the source of emancipation. Is maybe World Institute of Aesthetics online, without buildings, without clerks, but something what have to connect people around the projects. And I hope, if not in these 3 years, but in future, it will be possible because world aesthetics need us. Exists one very simple and nice joke, and I finish with this joke before I give the word our General Secretary. Aesthetics is something useful profession. You can produce shoes, you could produce wealth. Aesthetics is something what we exactly don't know exactly what is it. But if you come in some unknown city and ask, does in city exist some aesthetician? And people say, no, you have to know that you are in hell. So we are not useful, but this world with us is better than hell. And I really want to thank everybody here, to thanks for your visit Belgrade, your participation in Congress work, for your great knowledge, discussions, and exchange. I believe in future this exchange will have to grow. And now we go on some formal level. It is elections of the general, delegates in large. Please, Zoltan, take your position.
Yeah, thank you very much for these almost closing remarks for our new president. I just wanted to really thank for all the great organization, for the fantastic local team, and particular thanks also for the student volunteers who were always available and staying here from early morning until late in the evening, and always really helpful and kind without losing their patience, even if we asked, many of us asked the same question, I guess, several times. So particular thanks for them as well. Now, as we have heard, and as you may also know from our constitution that's also on our website. By the way, I warmly invite you to regularly consult the website because we always put new information, call for papers, and so on there. So as you know from there, we have the delegates of the national or regional societies, but besides them, we also have a maximum 5 delegates, out of which 1 or 2 are normally elected throughout during the electronic ballot that we had just a few weeks ago concluded, and the others during the General Assembly, so it means now. One of the delegates we already have through this electronic ballot, Andrea Baldini, so we can have another maximum 4. So now I open the floor for you for nominating candidates for this delegate position. And if we have more than 4 candidates, then we will make a proper voting on them, so those who get the highest number will get. And if we have maximum 4, then it's then they will be welcome. So please, the floor is yours for, yes, please.
I would like to nominate Dr. Yang Chen, who is Associate Researcher at the Beijing Academy for Social Sciences, focusing on contemporary aesthetics. He has his PhD from Peking University in philosophy. He has also had fellowships to do research in Germany and was one of the first scholar award recipients for IA in the group meeting in Poland.
Yes. Thank you very much for the nomination. So we have one candidate. Yes?
Delegating this lady over here, Sanela Nikolic. She's a faculty member of the music program here at the University of Arts in Belgrade. And I'm just delegating. Of course, doctorate degree in applied aesthetics.
Yes. Thank you very much. So we have the second candidate. If I also may suggest, I would like to nominate Dr. Manfred Milz from Germany, from the University of Regensburg, who has been an active member and with a thank you. Who has already visited several of our congresses and published in our different publications and journals, and we could also listen to his inspiring presentation a few days ago. So that's him up there. Yeah. So far we have 3. Yes. Yeah, we can see the name. Sorry, your name?
Yang Chen.
Yan Chen. Yes. Y-A-N-G. Yes. Yang. Yes. Okay, and then we had Dr. Salina. Yeah? Salina? Salina? Yes. And then Manfred Milz. This one I know. Anyone else? Any further nominations? No? Yes? Rafael Almira. Yeah, thank you for the suggestion, but he is already a board member representing the Italian Society for Aesthetics, so he cannot be twice. So he's already there. But thank you. So he's an important and active member already in the board. Any further? Okay. Yes. 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 Lydia. Yes. Yes. Dr. Lydia from Kenya. She has already been our delegate in the previous cycle. After Krakow, as far as I remember, there are no objections for that, or it's not excluded by our constitution, so that she can repeat. If you are available, Lydia? Yeah? Okay. How about that? Is it okay? Yes? Okay, so if our president and vice presidents also agree, then is it okay? So, if they, yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes, of course, for being extremely precise, we have to ask the candidates themselves if they are ready and willing to accept the nomination. So, Dr. Young, are you, or would you be ready? So, yes. Then Sanela? Yeah. Then Manfred? Yeah. And Lydia? Yeah. Okay. So in this case, since we have 4 available seats in the Executive Council and we have 4 candidates, I think we just need your general approval on this, but it will not be a competitive voting because the numbers are exactly matching. So let's just to be clear and for formality, ask if anyone objects or if we all agree.
Yes, we agree.
Yeah. Okay. So we all agree. Thank you very much for your support, and thank you for the nominations and for the candidates to accept this important role to become our new members in the Executive Council. Of course, I would really like to also thank for the outgoing delegates and also the outgoing officers for their great work in the previous period, and we are all looking forward for the next developments and especially of the next meetings and conferences, and I hope that all of you will join us in Greece and then in Slovenia and then in X. Yeah? So please, I give back the word to
And if you have something more to say or to suggest, we are open for it. Suggestions, if you like, or some ideas, or we wait to the Greece and Delphi. Delphi is a really good place for aestheticians to see future. If not, I want to thank everybody, to say you have been great and we enjoy together with you in new knowledge and new ideas exchange. Thank you very much. With these words, this Congress is finished.